With the new Egoist League coming to an end very soon and the last 23 players remaining going on to represent Japan, we will soon be presented with the team who is in pursuit of the World Cup. But who exactly do I see being a starting member, and what formation do I envision for them to have? In today's video, I'll be following up on my top 23 predictions video by giving you what I believe to be the strongest lineup going into the World Cup. If you haven't seen my top 23 ranking video, I would suggest you go watch it now because I'm using that as a reference for the 23 players that have survived, and then I'm going to be building a team out of those top 23 players. Before I get into the video, I want to leave a spoiler warning for the latest chapters of the Blue Lock manga, and if you are not caught up to at least chapter 288, I would suggest clicking off this video now if you wish to not be spoiled. I also have a Discord server called the New Egoist Geeks, which you should totally join. The link to that is down below. Now, going into the formation, the most optimal formation that I can think of going into the World Cup would be a combination between the Blue Lock 11 formation and the PXG formation. While the players who were forced into those defensive positions were strikers at the time, which forced them to play a very offensive conversion system, those same players have now developed into actual defensive players with their skills and specialties existing in those defensive positions. So while some adjustments will be made, I think that the majority of positions will remain the same. However, one thing I would like to change is actually the addition of one center forward as opposed to having a defensive midfielder. I think given the players that I have chosen and their eventual placements, that the need for two center forwards is much greater than having a defensive midfielder. I'll explain how that makes sense as we go along. But for now, let's start by taking a look at the goalkeeper position and we'll move our way up the pitch. And for the goalkeeper, the most obvious pick for that position is Gin Gagamaru. When looking at the players in Blue Lock, the one thing that they are lacking is actual goalkeepers. Excluding Gagamaru, the only other goalkeeper available to Blue Lock, based on my previous ranking, is Fukaku, the man who has only blocked a single shot in the entire series, that shot being a tight-angled opposite-footed shot, which he only barely stopped. You know, I've actually seen someone trying to defend Fukaku because he's the only actual goalkeeper. Then please explain to me why your actual goalkeeper has less feats than a player who just started playing goalkeeper less than 5 games ago. As for why Gagamaru is chosen as the starting goalkeeper, aside from the most obvious reasons, his incredible reaction time along with his physical disposition allows for him to reach nearly any space in front of the net incredibly quickly. He also possesses immense amounts of body balance and control, shown with him being able to balance on a single hand while blocking a power shot from Shido to the top corner of the net. In relation to Fukaku or really any other goalkeeper in the series, Gagamaru is the clear choice for that starting position. And because of that, I think we can just clearly move on. Now, looking at my defensive line for my left center back, like Gagamaru, he is probably one of the most obvious choices I could ever make. That choice being Oliver Aiku for my left center back. Having Aiku play on Blue Lock's strongest formation doesn't seem that unreasonable. I mean, excluding Lorenzo, Aiku is the best defender that we've seen in the entire series. With a powerful physique, incredible spatial awareness, and the natural ability to move reflexively, Aiku is always going to be a powerful opponent to match up against. There are actually only a few situations where you can 1v1 Aiku and win with Aiku playing at his best. When playing for Ubers, he was the main focal point for the defensive line, seeing as Lorenzo and Nico converted between midfield and defense interchangeably. In the U20 game excluding Sai, he was the best player on that team, managing and holding the entire defensive line. His skill as well as his teammates' trust in his skill led them all to calling Aiku the last line of defense. The man who held the Iron Wall quartet together and made them the strongest group of defenders in the country. Now, as for why I placed him on the left side, that's pretty much due to him being placed on the left side during the Blue Lock vs U20 game. Another reason comes from the decision by Ego for the Blue Lock 11. Ego selected Nico as the left center back, with his role to be stealing the ball and reading the field. Because Aiku and Nico's vision is so similar, placing Aiku on the left side just kind of felt right to me. And while he was placed on the right side during Ubers, I think putting him on the left side just makes the most amount of sense given the future picks I have in this video. Also, I would like to say that Aiku would be the captain of this new under-20 team. Not only does he have experience as the captain for the previous U20 team, but his overwhelming strength and skill when it comes to defense is something that gives the team support and confidence. This is a clear quality of someone for the captain position. And while there are other characters who people like to nominate for captain such as Karasu, Isagi, or Bado, I don't see those characters being on every single starting lineup going into the World Cup, because there will likely be numerous formations created depending on the team that they're going to face. And to be the captain of the team, I believe that that person should be someone who is in every single formation and plays in every single game, which Aiku is likely going to do. Sure, you could probably change it up and make someone else captain, but because Aiku is the best defender in Japan, it's unlikely that he's going to be replaced on the backline in any starting lineup. So yeah, that's just kind of my reasoning as to why I have Aiku as captain and why he's placed on the left side. Now, looking at my my other center back who is going to be on the right, there are two main contenders, that being Audio and Nico. I've spoken on this topic a lot, and the clear choice for me is Audio Jubei as my right center back. Audio was one of the original Blue Lock 11 who was assigned to defense against the U20 team. According to Ego, he was placed here due to his height and reach, which could be used to overwhelm his opponents and steal possession. And we see in the U20 game that Audio was even able to pull off a clutch save that not even Gagamaru would have been able to reach in time. When looking at both Audio and Nico for that last defender spot, I don't know why you wouldn't take Audio. Because when looking at Nico, what does he bring to the table that Aiku doesn't already provide? I mean, their playstyles are nearly identical and their weapons are almost the same. So that would just make Nico another Aiku, but why wouldn't I want another Aiku on the defensive line? Well, that's because Nico is not another Aiku, he's actually a worse version of Aiku. Not only is Nico's metavision the only kind to be considered second rate or a worse version, Nico also doesn't possess the physical abilities to replicate the defensive interceptions that Aiku can. And while Audio doesn't possess metavision at all, his jumping height and reach outclass Aiku, adding something that not even Aiku has on defense. When looking at these two players, I would most definitely want a more physical defender as opposed to a more tactical defender. I mean, Nico's biggest advantage and usage during the NEL was a rotator between defense and midfield with Lorenzo as his partner. I don't need my defender moving upwards, especially if he's one of my two center back players. And just because Aiku is on the left side doesn't mean that he cannot assist with his metavision. We've seen him shift sides of the field on numerous occasions, seen with him moving in to stop Nagi with Neo. So when I'm asked who I would want on the World Cup team between Nico and Audio, I just think that Audio is the better choice given what he can bring to the table. Now for my wingback or my left fullback, whatever term you want to use, I actually have a different pick that a lot of people wouldn't choose here, that being Yoichi Jingo as my left fullback. Now currently Yoichi is playing in the defensive midfielder position, so why would I want him as my wingback? Well, that's actually for a number of reasons. Sure, if you want a more defensive heavy team, you would want to add more defenders. If you want an offensive heavy team, you would want to add more offense. However, I think that Yoichi is the best pick to balance out that offense and defense in terms of equal strength. Yoichi's highlights as a player come from his unlimited stamina and incredible dueling skills. This allows him to play in a very similar way to Lorenzo's man mark style or Kunigami's Shido lockdown. Because of his unlimited stamina, he can constantly move around the field at 100%, racing up and down the pitch where it's needed. And while his highlight is definitely on defense, Yoichi could transition to a midfielder position to steal the ball in a 1v1 and get it to a good passer who can connect the plays with the wingers or center forwards. We see in the Ubers match that Yoichi's highlights were shutting down Nico from getting the ball using his powerful core and limiting Snuffy's passing options thanks to his stalking horse defense. And with these two styles, Yoichi could switch from defense to offense or offense to defense, allowing him to adjust his position to prepare for counterattacks by the opposing team. If you can't tell by now, one of the ways that this team in formation remain the strongest is by its ability to convert its players into multiple positions, strengthening the midfield or defense line at a moment's notice. And I think having Yoichi in the wingback or fullback position, it makes him a player who could do this with a very high success rate. Now there are obviously a lot of players you could sub Yoichi out for in this position, two key players being Karasu and Zantetsu. With Karasu you get the bonus vision with metavision and decent ball keeping skills, and with Zantetsu you get added speed and pressure, but also a good link-up partner. However, I'm mostly stuck with Yoichi as I wanted a player with tons of stamina who could keep the pressure on at 100% even at the later stages of the match, which I don't think that Karasu or Zantetsu would be able to do. But again, those players are easy substitutions for Yoichi in this position. Now as for my other wingback, this is a player who currently plays this position and is a fan favorite in the community, that being Corona Ranze. Corona is on the main team for several reasons that go beyond simple feats. He's by far one of the fastest characters in the Blue Lock project, shown with his speed being a 95 as of the Ubers game, and after 2 weeks of training, it's likely that his speed has shot up by at least 1 point. Another aspect comes from his sharp turning. Corona's speed when making tight angled cuts and turns is what makes him such a reliant and valuable post player. We see with Isagi that even without metavision, he and Corona were able to break past players who surpassed them both in terms of overall abilities. And with his sharp cuts, he can easily shake off markers as they aren't able to keep up with his base speed or the speed of his turns. On this team with the future picks in both midfield and offense, having Corona there is a very strong and reliable pick, especially given the planet hotline that we know of. As for substitutions for Corona, players like Zantetsu and Karasu are still applicable on the right side. However, another good character that could take his place on the right side is actually Kiora. Despite his small frame, Kiora is very agile and also very skilled when it comes to dribbling and ball keeping. He's also an incredible passer who, even if placed in an awkward position, can still connect the ball to another player. But now that we've completed our defensive line, it's about that time I remind you that if you are enjoying this video so far, leave me a like and subscribe down below to see more awesome Blue Lock content just like this. And if you would like to become a member of the channel, you would unlock some awesome perks including custom video requests and shoutouts in videos. All the funding for members go towards the Blue Lock New World movie, so if you want to show your support, become a member. Going into my first midfielder, we have the best passer in Blue Lock. On the right side, we have Hiyori Yo. Now Hiyori is an easy lock on the World Cup team. And what reasons do you have to say otherwise? During the U20 game, Hiyori's passes were stated to share the same speed and curvature as Sai, and his precision allowed for him to hit passes through very narrow gaps in an opponent's press. His precision doesn't just limit him to passing either, seen with him being able to dribble and maintain control of the ball as he moves down the field. And thanks to his awakening of metavision, his passing and overall reading of the field has evolved drastically. These factors together would be what places Hiyori as my main passer for this team. The main player who would sub in for Hiyori would be Ryo, who thanks to his chameleon style, can copy both the passes and dribbling weapons of Sai or Hiyori. And with him also being a metavision user, Ryo could seamlessly fill Hiyori's role as a passer, but also shift the entire attacking style of the team. As for my other midfielder, he would play as one of the other attacking options. On the left, we have Seishiro Nagi. Now I get why people don't believe Nagi should be on the starting lineup given his most recent decline in the NEL, but Nagi is the most naturally talented player in all of Blue Lock, someone who I would classify as being more naturally gifted than even Rin. Nagi's natural talent and his insane trapping are the two main reasons why he's here. Your first touch is everything in soccer, and Nagi has the ability to use his first touch in any way that he sees fit. He can use it to both score goals or to assist another player. And with teammates like Hiyori or Ryo as the other midfielder, he has a number of options available to him in terms of what he can do. This gives him nearly unlimited potential if given the freedom to play how he wants. In terms of substitutions for Nagi, someone like Kunigami is definitely a strong player to bring in on offense, as he could act as a wildcard player, pun intended, to increase the attacking power down the wings or down the middle. Speaking of wings, let's talk about our wingers, and on the left, our first winger is Chigiri Hyoma. Chigiri is easily one of the best individual and team players in Blue Lock. During the U20 match, he was used as a crosser on the right side, linking up with Karasu and Atoya to use his speed to blast a hole in the Iron Wall defense. It was his weapon that led Blue Lock to an opening where Karasu fucking fumbled. That ability and asset still exists in the current stages of the manga despite the improvements and style change. With Chigiri on the left side, he can use his speed and dribbling to continue to slice through the opposing defense, reaching his golden zone to score. And with Hiyori as one of the attacking midfielders, Chigiri could rely on his passes to get the ball to his golden zone, making it easier on him to score. On defense though, his speed could also be used to crowd the midfield, pressing ball carriers into a 1v1 or forcing a rush pass that could be intercepted. When it comes to a replacement or substitution for Chigiri's position, I could really see someone like Shido taking over as a sort of joker role for the team. Because he is a naturally fast and reflexive character, Shido can fit into the position of winger, especially in Chigiri's place fairly easily. And because of his instinctive style and link-ups with Hiyori, Shido could easily score a quick goal when needed. However, I don't see Shido being on the pitch for more than one goal's worth amount of time, seeing as the longer he's on the pitch, the more adjusted to his style players become. As for the right winger, this position easily goes to Meguro Bachara. Bachara having a spot on this team mostly arises from him being one of the best dribblers in the Blue Lock project, as well as his incredible passing ability. Like Chigiri, Bachara will be able to shred through a defensive line, creating moments that he can exploit to send passes to attacking players like Nagi or Chigiri, as well as the two center forwards. His variety of passes also gives the Blue Lock team a secondary passer as opposed to just leaning on Hiyori for that role. And while his shooting may not be the best, his ability to act as another goal scorer can help create distortion within the penalty box. For the subs and right winger, I could really see players like Bado or Yukimiya taking over for that position. Bado would help strengthen the offensive line in terms of scoring power with his chop dribbles and predator eye, allowing him to get into the perfect location to shoot with the perfect timing. And Yukimiya, along with his street style dribbling, can function like a fusion between Bado and Bachara by being able to break through people using others and score using a powerful shooting technique. And lastly, for the two center forwards, it's pretty obvious who they're going to be. We'll have Rin Itoshi on the left and Yoichi Isagi on the right. Putting Isagi and Rin on this team, the strongest team for the World Cup, just kinda makes sense. Rin is by far the best player in the entire Blue Lock project and is the best individually in Japan as of now for his age. With his overall above average stats in physical strength, speed, and dexterity, Rin also shines in relation to his technical skills and spatial awareness. Possessing not only one of the best technical shooting abilities in the show, but also being a high skilled dribbler with spatial awareness, Rin is already a terrible threat in base. But once in flow, his skill shines even brighter as an individual, performing with feats that put anyone else, even new Gen 11s, to shame. And with Isagi, while he may not be as good as Rin individually, his performances on a team are just as good, if not better. His rapid and crazy development in the NAL has led Isagi to being one of the best players of the U20 category in relation to team plays and performances. And thanks to his awakening of his true flow state, Isagi's game sense and vision may be the best in the entire series. So having these two characters on the starting lineup is a literal no-brainer. However, the positions that they are in is what's important. With Isagi and Rin on the front lines, they can both stimulate attacks with players like Chigiri and Bachara on the sides. And with Isagi's natural ability to elevate his teammates' performances, it'll allow for a much stronger frontal assault. Having players like Hiyori, Bachara, and Corona on the right side provides Isagi all the support he needs to work his magic with his Metavision or Omnivision. And with Isagi getting all the support on the right side, provided the very individualistic players on the left such as Chigiri and Nagi, this pressure is what's needed to get Rin into flow, especially with him on the front lines with Isagi. All of the placements of each character are set up perfectly to support any attacker, but also allow for an easy conversion to defense if needed. And that was just my selection of the perfect 11 players to create the strongest team going into the World Cup. If you guys have a different formation or different opinion, leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. Aside from that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video and will continue to enjoy it in the future. Final reminder to become a member and join the Discord, as both are ways to support the Blue Lock New World movie as we continue its production. As for the question of the video though, which players that aren't on their starting lineup do you think should be? Leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. And like always, thank you all for watching, like and subscribe to see more awesome Blue Lock content just like this.